What's up YouTube, welcome back to the channel, Sleepy Beat. Today I'm going to go over the Arceus Dhelmise deck that I went ahead and took a top 4 finish at a charity event up in Pittsburgh, PA. This weekend was amazing, and I gotta thank the Pittsburgh crew, specifically Jake Abrams, who gave me a place to crash for the weekend. As I went out to this tournament, everybody there was really nice and just very welcoming, and we had some great games with the local community there. So let's get straight into the deck profile and explain every single card and why it's in there. First, we're going to go ahead and start off with the Pokemon line, and the bread and butter of the deck here is Arceus V. It's a 220 colorless type and with 2 attacks, Trinity Charge and Power Edge. Trinity Charge is a great startup attack if you're going second. With a single double turbo energy, you can search your deck for the 3 basic energy cards and then attach them to your Pokemon V in any way you like. So this is nice to set up our Zapdoses or Dhelmise Vs when on this turn of going second. Then we also have Power Edge. Power Edge can possibly set up some math, doing 130 to take KOs on a VMAX. So sometimes I didn't really use Power Edge, but I can see it come in handy every once in a while if we're kind of like in a pinch situation. Then we also have Arceus Vstar 280 HP colorless Pokemon. Same type of attack, doing Trinity Nova, but 200. And again, just searching our deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to our Pokemon V in any way we like. Great attack, again, to just set up our attackers going fairly quickly. Then we also have the V-Star power and its ability in Star Birth. Another great consistency card, which allows us to search our deck for up to 2 cards and put them in our hand. This is a great early, mid, or even late game finisher ability. I've used this Starburst ability in many stages of the game. Early to set up, mid game to get maybe a final piece that I whiffed or something in that turn, or even end game to get the last piece that I possibly need to win the game. So very versatile card, and really what makes this kind of deck work. And then we're going to go on to our main attacker in Dhelmise V and VMAX. We're going to start off with the V, 220 grass type Pokemon. 2 attacks, Anchor Anger. It does 30, but let's say our opponent knocked out a grass Pokemon. It does 90 more damage, so that's a base of 120. It's a fairly decent attack, because if they do knock out something, let's say like a VMAX, you could do 120, and that 120 could turn into 240. There's one specific situation where I was playing against Arceus Birds where this came up. I did miss the switch to get this Dhelmise into the active, but basically what they did was they knocked out my VMAX, and then I was able to set up the Dhelmise V with 1 energy, but I whiffed the switch to get it out into the active to get the KO. But you can make plays like that with this Dhelmise V. And then Giga Hammer is just a nice little 200 damage attack. If you're in a pinch, 200 damage is a decent chunk of damage, and that can be buffed with Choice Belt doing 230. So not bad at all. And then we have Dhelmise VMAX, 330 HP Pokemon, and Swinging Chain honestly was the MVP of the weekend. It does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each grass energy attached to it. So a lot of times there was a lot of Arceus and a lot of decks that play a lot of small things such as Sabo. So a lot of the times, honestly, I was just Swinging Chain for 2 energy and just taking out my opponent's consistency engines and stuff like that with Swinging Chain. So Swinging Chain was definitely the MVP of the weekend. And then you have Max Anchor, which does a decent amount, 240. You can buff that up to 270 with the Choice Belt that we play. And both of these attacks kind of combo very well, especially against VMAXs, because what you could do is you could Max Anchor for 240, and then if your opponent retreats into the bench with their VMAX, you can just attach a second energy and finish the VMAX off, doing 120 damage. Plus the 240 knocks out pretty much anything, and even just doing it with 90 should bring you into 330 range, so you might not even need to attach another energy. So not a bad combination of attacks. And then onto our third attacker, it's Galarian Zapdos V. With this Fighting Instinct ability, its attack costs 1 colorless less for each of your opponent's Pokemon V in play, and it has an attack called Thunderous Kick, doing 170, and it discards a special energy from opponent's Pokemon before doing damage. 170 is a nice number to hit because that one-hit KOs Arceus Vstars, which is mainly why I added this into the deck. Against other Arceus decks, this can just take KOs fairly easily. What I had before was a Galarian Zigzagoon and a Tool Scrapper, and my way to one-hit KO a Arceus Vstar was to Tool Scrapper any big charms off, and then attach a Choice Bell onto my Dhelmise, and then Zigzagoon Ping. I just felt like that was way too many cards, and it's just a lot easier to get Galarian Zapdos out with one or two with a fighting energy, and then maybe one or two grass energies, or even a double turbo, and knock out the Arceus Vstar with or without a big charm without having to worry about Tool Scrapper. We also play one Cape of Toughness with this combination because it allows our Zapdos to live a couple hits, so we get more bang for our buck with the Zapdos, possibly taking out 2 Arceuses if we can. So not bad inclusion of a Cape of Toughness. The card is also very versatile, as I found myself attaching it sometimes to like a V, an Arceus or a Dhelmise V, and just to keep them safe so that our opponent is less likely to boss our main attackers, and that way they can safely get evolved into their V and V stars. So now we're going to go ahead and check out our support account. We're playing 2 Boss's Orders, which allows us to gust our opponent's Pokemon up. It can be used offensively and also defensively, because with Dhelmise's Swinging Chain attack, what we could do is we can boss up something that they don't want in the active and trap it, and then we could just attack the threat with Swinging Chain if we need to, and kind of buy us some turns to possibly eliminate the threat, right? So this is one way bosses can be used defensively. Offensively, we can just go ahead and boss something up and take a KO. In my top 4 matchup, I used this very aggressively to take out Urshifu before it evolved into the VMAX, so that my Arceus was safe. So this was a very good card, nice 2 of, and then we're going to be playing 3 Marnie. Marnie is a nice little disruption card, and the fact that we're playing Babaro allows us to play higher counts of Marnie, because we can always draw extra cards with Industrious Incisors. So Marnie didn't really hurt us too much, but it did hurt our opponent. Just combination of Marnie and Path helps a lot, which stops Rulebox Pokemons that have abilities. So basically things like other Arceus Vs couldn't use their Starbirth ability if we got this out early. Other Galarian Zapdoses couldn't get their Fighting Instinct activated. Again, anything with a Rulebox just did not have abilities, and the Disruption of Marnie just sometimes stopped decks right dead in their tracks. Then we're playing 2 Purses Research just to have some aggressive draw and be able to set up consistently. On top of that, we're also playing 2 important, I felt, supporters in this deck, and it's 1 Raihan. Raihan was really good, and let's say they take a surprise KO, I was able to fairly quickly get up another attacker quickly, specifically Arceus Vstar. So basically, let's say they took out a Dhelmise VMAX, I can Raihan Grass Energy onto an Arceus Vstar, and then with Raihan grab the double turbo energy and attach to Arceus, and then attack again, and then I'll get my board reset up fairly quickly with Raihan. So Raihan was really good in several situations. And same thing with Rose. Rose is a great card to be combined with the Dhelmise VMAX as well as Hyper Potion. Rose allows us to attach 2 basic energy cards from our discard pile to our Pokemon VMAX. So basically, a lot of times I can think of 2 situations where I use Rose, where I basically healed off my Dhelmise VMAX with Hyper Potion, and then what I did was I used Rose for the turn, and then got 2 grass energies back from the discard onto my Dhelmise. So pretty good. And Rose also can behave kind of like a plus 60 as well buff to Swinging Chain. So there's several different situations where Rose can become useful, and the effect of discarding our hand isn't that bad because we do have Industrious Incisors. So using it at the right time where maybe we don't have a lot of cards that are useful for us, we can actually refresh our hand very well with Babaro. Let's go ahead and take a look at the item cards. We're playing 2 Escape Ropes. Again, just a switching option and more gust options, because again, we can put our opponents in a sticky situation, and with Swinging Chain, we can just hit threats on the bench instead of having them in the active. And we also play 3 Evo Essence to search out our evolutions, such as Arceus, Babaro, and Dhelmise. We also play 4 Quick Ball to get our basics out. Just discard a card and can search for any basic. Just helped us get a Bidoof out, our Dhelmise or Galarian Zapdos at the right time. So very good card. Then also Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball just allows us to discard 2 cards and search any Pokemon at all. So this can get us basics, this can get us evolutions, mid. Very versatile card here. And then we also have 1 switch card just to give us a basic switch option. Sometimes we don't want to use Escape Rope, we just want to get our attacker in the active. So we play 1 switch card as well. And then onto our tool cards, we're playing 4 one of tool cards. We're playing 1 air balloon, mainly to attach to the Bibarel, because Bibarel just becomes a free pivot, but there's times where I would use it on our Arceus Vstar just to get it out of the active, or even our Dhelmise VMAX just to get that retreat cost down to 1. We also play Big Charm just to give us that plus 30 HP buff onto our Pokemon. It mainly on the Arceus, bringing that HP up to 310 HP, so not bad. 310 HP, 2 Prizer is an insane amount of HP to take out. And then we also play Cape of Toughness, mainly to be used with the Galarian Zapdos, but I did find myself using it on a Dhelmise V or even an Arceus V, just so that our opponents are less likely to gust it up, and then allowing us to evolve into our VMAX and V-Star respectively. Then we also play 1 Choice Belt just to have that plus 30 damage buff against other V Pokemon, so not bad at all. And then just to finish off the deck, we're going to be playing 4 double turbos, 1 fighting energy to combine with our Galarian Zapdos, but it could also be used to charge up an Arceus Vstar or even a Dhelmise VMAX for its max anchor attack, because it does have a colorless energy. I actually did this in my top 4 game where I didn't have enough grass energy, so what I did was I set up 2 VMAXs to kind of checkmate my opponent. And basically what I did was I attached the 2 grass energy to 1 Dhelmise VMAX with the fighting energy, just so I have the max anchor ability. And then I also attached 1 grass energy to another VMAX just to have the swinging chain option, because their board was, they had believe a Moltres with 10 HP. So, and I'm pretty sure they had a Galarian Zapdos on the bench, and I had my Arceus Vstar in the active. So my thought process was they're going to go ahead and KO with Galarian Zapdos, so I can promote the Dhelmise with 3 energies, hit with max anchor, and then if they somehow took that out, I had a second VMAX that can just go ahead and swing and chain the Moltres for KO. So not bad at all. We're gonna go and review my matchups of the day. Let's see. So round 1, I played against an Arceus Snorlax deck. Interesting deck that basically played a lot of Cheryls, and it basically played like Arceus and Inteleon, but it was partnered with Snorlax. I got 2 wins there in a best of 3, straight 2-0 sweep. I don't remember much about the match, but I think both games I just kind of pathed him early, and I just kept attacking his Sobbles fairly easy with Dhelmise, and he just couldn't get up and going because of that. Round 2 was Suicune and Inteleon. I took game 1 very, very quickly. I just again used Dhelmise to knock out the Lotads and any Sobbles that were in play. Game 2 actually went to time, and it went into a situation where I was managing my bench very well, and I was able to take out a lot of his bench Pokemon, so he wasn't doing enough damage to take KO. And I also knocked out a lot of his Lotad, so he couldn't buff his damage. And we finished the game in time, where I basically just swinging chained a caped Suicune with a boss in hand ready to go to max anchor it next turn. He saw the play and just immediately looked at his hand and then just scooped and gave me the win. But it was a really good game 2, so it was really close. It was a nice back and forth overall. And then in round 3, I played against Arceus Birds and Inteleon. The first game just took forever. I think the game took about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I think, almost. And I ended up taking the win, and then we tied in the next game. So that means I took the set, just because I won the first game and we tied the second game, so I took the entire set. And then in the 4th round, I played Jake, where he was playing Arceus and Inteleon, and then we had a nice little set again. I won the first game, and then in the second game I lost. Went into time in that second game. The second game took a little bit long, but it was a nice little game where I was put in a situation where he put my Zapdos with 240 HP left, and all he needed to do was do an Inteleon ping for knockout. I whiffed the cards I needed to get my Zapdos off the board with a collapsed stadium, so I ended up losing. And since we didn't have time for a third game, we tied that match. Round 5 I ID'd to my eventual loss in top 4. In top 8 I played against Arceus Dragonite and I took that 2-0. Interesting deck, honestly. Dragonite is scary because it can hit up to 310 damage. The guy told me he was playing Leon, and like with choice belts and stuff like that, that's just an insane amount of damage. Where my hyper potions were actually effectively not useful in that matchup actually. But still good game there. And then in top 4 I lost to Arceus Urshifu Birds. He built a really cool deck where he used Arceus as a setup, and then he had Urshifu and also Moltres and Zapdos as attackers, backup attackers, just basically having weakness to the entire meta. Game 1 I did take very quickly. I took it very quickly, but then game 2 it was a nice back and forth, but he ended up taking the win. And then game 3 I kind of just bricked. So it happens. Honestly, that's the only game I bricked, so sucks that it happened in top 4, but honestly, to say that a deck like this bricks only one time is insane. So yeah, that is the deck and my matchups for that weekend. So I hope you guys enjoyed that deck profile. If you want to see some more PTCG content, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I honestly think people are sleeping on Dhelmise. I think it has a very good potential in the meta. It's not weak to anything in that triangle meta kind of right now, so I think it's really good. There's still things I want to try out with the deck, but yeah, I'll keep you guys updated when I make any more changes and stuff like that.